You know, when I was a kid, I tried popping wheelies. Yeah, I was the best on my block. Let me tell you, I purposefully fell off every single time just so I wouldn't make the other kids look bad. Well, wait, now that I think about it. No, I just fell. Yeah, I can't actually pop a wheelie. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today we're taking a look at Charm City Kings, dropping exclusively on HBO Max this week. It's directed by Manuel Soto, and it's starring Jahi, Winston, Meek Mill, yes, that Meek Mill, and Chandler DuPont. Guys, this movie was one that's been on my radar for months, ever since I heard about it at the beginning of the year, up until I saw some trailers last month. Wow, I mean, it just looked beautiful, and I couldn't wait to sit down and watch this one. So thanks so much to HBO Max for providing me this early copy for review. So if you don't know much about the story, guys, let's get into what this movie's all about. Charm City Kings centers around a 14-year-old named Mouse who wants to join the Midnight Clique, an infamous group of Baltimore dirt bike riders, and unfortunately, it gets him into some trouble. Now, I can't wait to talk about this movie, guys, but if it's your first time here at the channel, welcome to Real James. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit the big red button below, subscribe to the channel, and tap on that bell so you don't miss out on anything new. I got a lot of early reviews coming, some more reactions this week as well, and oh man, the rest of this month is going to be a lot of fun. I'm probably going to get scared. It's October, right? Yeah, a lot of scary movies next week too. If you haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button too, and get loud in the comments and let me know what you think of this movie when you see it. Okay, y'all, so let's get right into what I liked about this movie. Immediately, I have to tell you guys, I'm not from Baltimore, but man, this movie is alive, okay? I felt like I was in Baltimore when watching this movie. I've actually never visited the DMV area, but from what I've researched, the accents were pretty on point. I just wish there were a couple more authentic things about that, but we'll talk about that soon. Let's get into what I liked about this movie. And it starts with Jahi Winston, who delivers arguably one of the best performances of the year, and I'm not even kidding when I say that. It was so captivating. Now, this is actually the first I've seen of him in a lead role, and boy, he impressed the heck out of me. He transforms into this 14-year-old named Mouse, who is dealing with a lot of emotional baggage. He also is trying to be an adult for his family. He doesn't have a father figure and lives with his mother and sister, but you can tell that he's struggling with things like being accepted, love, and fitting in. But the one thing that overshadows his life is really him trying to live up to be like his older brother, Stro, who unfortunately passed away and was in the Midnight Clique. But I cannot say enough good things about Jahi Winston. I mean, there were so many moments where I was almost moved to tears watching him just go through each stage of either grief, of sorrow, happiness, sadness. This kid did an amazing job. I mean, I'm almost at a loss for words. Now, Mouse doesn't have a father figure in this movie, so the film tries to give him two, one of them being Detective Rivers, played by William Catlett. He comes into the picture as someone who is trying to get him on the straight and narrow, and sometimes that works, sometimes it doesn't. And then the second father figure in his life, someone who he's looking up to, is Blacks, played by Meek Mill, who used to lead the Midnight Clique. There it works better, even though Meek Mill, I got some words about his acting, but I feel like the movie was flowing better in that regard. It didn't feel as forced. And guys, I'd feel terrible if I didn't mention this, but Mouse and his friends were great in this movie, and one of them in particular stood out to me. Dono Hainsley Jr.'s performance as Lamont was awesome. I mean, it's everything in this film, so yeah, you're gonna have to see it to believe it, but he's really good. I'm also a big fan of how Charm City Kings really, underneath it all, is a coming-of-age story. Funny enough, Barry Jenkins, one of my favorite directors and writers in the game today and forevermore, actually helped write this story. He didn't write the script, but you can tell his influence was over this film. Now, of course, it does introduce some elements that I wish it would have lingered on a little bit more, but some of the stuff that they were able to give to us as a viewer in the first and second acts, it was really good. And not only did the acting immerse me in this environment, but guys, I gotta say, this movie looked absolutely stunning. The cinematography is amazing here, even in the nighttime scenes where it just looks unreal. I mean, guys, I was in the moment. I also love the dirt bike scenes, especially in the beginning of the movie. Everything felt very freeing, and I don't ride bikes, but if I did, I mean, it must feel great because it looked so good. And I do like how director Manuel Soto really just brings this little part of Baltimore alive, and it's very vibrant at times, and I really love that about this film. Let's get into what I didn't really like about the movie, and it starts with this movie. Yes, it's a gut punch, do not get me wrong, but some of these moments, the way they're written, it feels so forced. That really does come down to the dialogue, which was a little choppy at best in some moments, and unfortunately I felt like it didn't fit. There wasn't always a natural flow to things and a natural cadence to conversations. I mean, sometimes moments were just like cut, copy, paste, and I didn't really care for that too much. And for as much as I loved Jahi Winston's performance, guys, the acting around him, his supporting cast, wasn't always solid. And especially in Meek Mill's case, I know I just mentioned that him being that father figure to Mouse was a pretty good subplot, but boy, Meek Mill, his acting is rough. You can tell. I mean, his trade is not acting. He's a hip-hop artist by nature, and he's from Philadelphia. Now, here's the thing. The accents were pretty darn specific, and I know I just mentioned I did a little bit of research about Baltimore accents, but I'm not going to lie. Meek Mill sounded like he's from Philadelphia. He didn't sound like he was from Baltimore at all. And yes, I'm not saying he can't improve upon being an actor, but here he was just so wooden that he took me out of really emotional moments. And then there were some story elements that they had introduced and then they went away from, and that confused me as a viewer because they found their bread and butter in some of these relationships they were forming with Mouse and his love interest Nikki, for example. Chandler DuPont does an amazing job as playing Nikki, but I don't know what it is about both of them together on screen. They just blew me away, and I really bought into exactly what it is that they were selling on screen. But then they strayed from that in the third act, and I thought, well, what happened? And instead, they really choose to focus on storylines like Detective Rivers and Mouse, and I thought to myself, that doesn't really work too well. It's very predictable as well. And speaking of predictability, the final 30 minutes of this movie, you could see it coming from a mile away, unfortunately. And Charm City Kings, of course, isn't a terrible film, but in that final act, it just felt like it lingered and dragged a little bit because I already saw what was coming. Now, this might be a nitpick, but is it bad that I kind of wanted more Baltimore artists on the soundtrack? There were moments where I was listening to some songs and I thought they were cool, and I said, hey Siri, what's the name of the song? And yeah, they were New York artists. I'm thinking to myself, that's very weird. So overall, you guys, Charm City Kings really is a beautiful movie. Visually, it's appealing, and there are some amazing performances in this movie. I can't tell you that the film is bad, but it does some things that made me scratch my head, and when it was finding its flow and rhythm, it almost got a little too predictable and by the numbers in that final act. Now, I can't lie to you guys, this movie delivered so many gut punches of emotion that I was pleasantly surprised with exactly what it is that I was watching, and the end product is fine, but I know that it could have been better. Of course, everything on screen really does feel alive, but by the end, I almost wish it didn't have that samey feeling, if you know what I mean, and it almost focused on a lot of areas that didn't work in the second half versus what worked in the first half. But still, you guys, I really enjoyed my time with Charm City Kings. It's better than I thought it was going to be, and it's not as good as I thought it could have been, but it's still worth your time this week. Give it a shot, and I think you'll come away finding a lot of the same things that I liked about this movie. There's just so much to say about Jahi Winston, but man, he's going to go so far. Alrighty, you guys, well, there you have it. That's my review of Charm City Kings, an emotional roller coaster that could have used a little bit of tinkering every now and then. Now, if you haven't already, guys, go ahead and hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel and tap on that bell so you stay up to date with anything new. I got a lot more content on the way for you guys. It's going to be a fun rest of the week. And if you haven't already, smash that like button and get loud in the comments and let me know what you guys thought of this movie. And here's a fun one. What's your favorite coming of age movie? Alrighty, y'all, let me go ahead and get to work on some more reviews and reactions. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening. And no, I'm not going to try to pop any more wheelies, I promise.